Hi everyone, this is Writing Essentials with Mrs. Benson. Today we are going to be talking about MLA format. So let's get started. Now, MLA format, you may have heard of it, you may have not. Doesn't matter. Today we're going to talk you through what it is and how to do it. So what is MLA format and why do I have to do it? MLA actually stands for the Modern Language Association, which was founded a long time ago, 1883, and it's a group of scholars that have an annual convention. And really the key point with MLA is that they are the finest publishing program, or one of the finest publishing programs for the humanities. And the humanities are just the subjects like English, communications, history, psychology, sociology, those kind of classes, the classes that deal with humans. And so MLA, the association itself, is just a really big part of writing and the production of writing and the publication and distribution of writing, right? So why do we use MLA format? It's kind of one of those things, as far as how I see it, in that we had to pick a lane, and you want to pick a lane so that we can give a continuity to our writing and what it looks like. This is literally just about the delivery. It has nothing to do with the content. The content is whatever you want to say. You don't have to say, no one tells you what to say, right? That's your voice. That's what you get to put on the page. But the delivery of it, if we all are using the same delivery, then it's much more easy to access. It's much more accessible for everybody. So in this last point here, I put that MLA style, using MLA format properly, really is just a way for us to make it easier for readers to navigate and to comprehend a text, because we have familiar cues. I know where your name's going to be. I don't have to look for your name. I know exactly where it's going to be, upper left-hand corner. I don't have to look for the title. I know where it's going to be, and I know what delivery it will have. So it's important for that continuity and that easy access for readers that we as writers stick to the same format. Now, as you enter different disciplines and different levels of education, there are other options. For example, another really popular option is APA format. I remember when I was in college, I had classes in psychology and in history that asked for APA format. So that's something else that you might learn down the line. But as far as your secondary school experience, you're going to need to know your MLA format, okay? So that's what I'm here for. I'm gonna help you. It's really not too hard at all. And I'm going to take you through just the steps of what you need to do to format a document for MLA format. Specifically, I put at the top here, how do I write in MLA format using Google Docs? Okay, so we're going to use Google Docs because that's kind of like the universal access tool that we use for writing these days. And so, yeah, I'm going to take you through the steps of what you need to do to set up your document in Google Docs so that you have MLA format. And then we're going to do it together at the end, just as kind of a quick review and practice. Okay. So the first step when you are wanting to create some piece of writing that you're going to turn in for school is to go to Google Drive and then click New. And then you're going to do Google Docs. You're going to do a new Google Doc. And every time you get a new Google Doc, in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see it's titled Untitled Document. And if you don't change that, then you are going to have a plethora of untitled documents in your Google Drive. And that doesn't make for great organization, does it? Because then when you're trying to find the piece of writing that you're working on, you will just have to be sifting through untitled document, untitled document, untitled document. So don't untitle, keep the untitled document. You want to change it, title it something. And this doesn't have to be your writing piece title at this point, if you don't know what that is. For example, if the first thing you're writing or the piece that you're writing at the time is, a narrative, you can write narrative essay or narrative writing, whatever, something to give yourself a clue as to what it is. And another kind of thing to think about, something that I've seen students do, is putting their last name so that they can really identify themselves when they're submitting the doc. But that's up to you. So some kind of a title, and then you push OK, and now it's automatically saving. You don't have to push save. You don't have to do anything. Every few seconds, it's saving what you do, which is a really wonderful thing, because in the past, if you weren't pushing save and something happened, your internet went out, your computer went down, you lost the work, and it was just a tragedy. So this is fantastic. Okay, so now you have your Google Doc. For step 2, you need to make sure that your font is correct, your spacing is correct, and your margins are correct. And this correct is all according to the MLA guidelines, okay? So what you're looking for is Times New Roman font. What you're looking for as far as size is 12 point. And you want to be flush left to start. That'll change. And then you want to have double spacing, okay? You can also go to your toolbar to format for double spacing if you prefer to do it that way. Your margins typically are already set at 1 inch, but you may just want to double check to see that that ruler is at 1 inch for your margins. All right, the next step, now that I know I'm in Times New Roman 12-point font, is to create a header. You can click Insert and then go to Header and Footer, or you can just double click the top of the page, and I'll show you that in just a bit. Unfortunately, that shift you made to Times New Roman 12-point font for the entire page is not going to register for the header. Darn it. So now we have to do it again. I want Times New Roman 12-point font. You're going to put your last name only. Okay, so my last name is Benson. At the top of the page, I would just type Benson. You'll want to put a space, and then you go to Insert again and down to page number. When you do that, you're able to insert your page number for that page of your document. Right now we're on page 1, so it'll insert a 1. The cool thing there is, often students are tempted just to type in a number 1. And if you do that in your header, remember, I'll inform you that your header is something that's going to be at the top of every page of your document. So it's an automatic element that you don't have to modify or add in when you get to another page. If I just type a number 1, when you get to page 2, guess what will be on page 2 for the page? 1, because that's what I typed in. But by putting insert page number, you're actually putting in sort of the algorithm or the systematic changing of when I'm on page 1, it's going to put a little number 1 there. When I'm on page 2, it's going to put a number 2. So the section I'm talking about is this guy right here. If you can see in the sample that we have, see how it says Josephson 1? That's because it's the first page of the document. So it's going to have that 1 there. And then on his next page, it'll say Josephson 2. Or actually, this person's name is Laura, so it might be a female. All right, let's talk about the last step. It's kind of 2-part, so it's step 4A and 4B, if you will. The most significant piece in formatting a document with MLA is to have the correct heading. And this is one of those items that even as I have taught high school juniors, they might still flub this. So this is one of those things where the earlier you can learn it and get it in your mind, the better off you will be. You will be leagues ahead of your peers as you go through the years of your secondary education, if you can just really nail your MLA format and doing it correctly. So for your heading, you're going to get out of the header space, right? So you want to double click into the regular piece of the document. You're not working in the header, you're working in the actual text of the page itself. And you'll want to follow this sequence, right? Your name, the teacher name, the class name, the date. Your name, the teacher name, the class name, the date. Okay. I once heard it described as NICD, NICD, name, instructor, class, date. So if NICD, NICD, is something you can remember better, go for it. I just kind of sing song to myself. Your name, teacher name, class name, date. Your name, teacher name, class name, date. And if you just repeat it like 6 times, then suddenly you know it, okay? It's one of those repetition tools of memorization. So with that said, you put your name, this person's name is Laura Josephson. Then you put the teacher name. This is for a college class, Professor Bennett. The class name. So you'll have like English and then whatever grade level of English you're in. And then you can put the paper's due date. I, as a teacher, am not too much of a stickler. Just a correctly formatted date would be fantastic. So it could be the date you're working on it, if you will, if you don't know the due date yet, right? When you do the date, it's a little bit different than the format you learned to do dates, back in elementary school. Typically, when we format our dates, if I'm writing a letter to someone or a thank you card, if you will, I'll put, January 2nd, 2021. And I'll put a January 2, comma, and the year. But we actually don't format it that way for MLA. And so this is kind of one of those funky elements that you kind of have to train and practice. And the more you do it, the better you'll get. You put the date first, the number, then the month, and then the year. And you have absolutely no commas whatsoever in that delivery. Okay? So that's the top: your name, teacher name, class name, date. Then you go to your title, and notice how you don't put any extra spaces. You just do your regular double spacing. Then you put your title. You capitalize the main words of your title. So main words are, the first word, the last word, your proper nouns, obviously, the bigger, basically your nouns in your title. Things that you don't capitalize in a title would be your prepositions, like your little in, or your to, or your for, or your of, or conjunctions and, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so are fanboys conjunctions. So you can see in this title, Ellington's Adventures in Music and Choreography. See how Ellington adventures, music, and geography, not choreography, excuse me, are all capitalized, but then in and, a preposition and a conjunction, those are not capitalized. Okay, so the little words you don't need to capitalize. You do want to make sure that you avoid the temptation to do fancy fireworks with your title and make it 72 font, bold, scripted, underlined, everything that makes it, jump off the page. Avoid that temptation. All you want to do is your plain old boring Times New Roman 12-point font title, so that it is adhering to MLA format. They don't want to get distracted by the title. Even though you love your title and you want it to be fancy and pretty and big, you have to stick with the continuity of Times New Roman 12-point font. Okay? Do not make any extra spaces before or after the title. Most teachers know that's just kind of a gimmick to make it look like your essay is a bit longer than it is. So we don't want to add in extra spaces anywhere. It's too much empty space. Just the double spacing throughout is perfect. So that was a lot of me talking and giving you steps, but let's just quickly go through it and you can see how simple it is. We're going to try it together and then we'll be done for this video. I'm going to go over to my Google Drive. You're doing it with me. I click on New. I click on Google Docs. And there's my brand new Google Doc. Notice how it's titled Untitled Document, just like we talked about. So I'm going to title this my MLA Format Practice. Sounds like a good title for me since that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to fix my font to Times New Roman 12. I am going to double space. So I go to Format, Line Spacing, Double, and I'm set up First step is the header. So, excuse me, you can go to insert and then headers and footers. What I like to do, kind of the cheat way, is just double click up on the top of the page and it highlights the header for me. So this is something I'm typing that's going to pop up on every page of my document. This time, I don't want to be flush left, I want to be flush right. So right align. I write my last name. Oops, I didn't change my font. Notice how that Arial font is the default. So now I want to go to Times New Roman. I'm going to hit that 12 again. And I've got my last name. I'm going to do a space. And then you might be tempted, as I talked about earlier, to put that number 1 there because it's page 1, but don't do it because then every page will be page 1. Instead, go to insert, and then you're going to go to page numbers and click that guy. You'll notice how it's highlighted. That means that it's going to be changing as I get to the next page. And it gives me my 1 since I'm on the first page now. So next step, I'm going to double click outside of the header so that this is not part of the header. You don't want your name, teacher name, class date on every page. You only want that on the first page. So you don't want that to be part of your header. I'm going to make sure I'm 1 inch down. This looks about right, 1 inch. And then I'm going to get started. You know what? I think my margin doesn't look perfectly an inch. So I'm gonna, yep, that's an inch. See how we did that? And then I can tell over here that I am not perfectly at an inch. That's an inch. Okay, so I feel better now. You can always fix your margins with your rulers, right? So now I do your name, teacher name, class date. So Sarah Benson is my name. My teacher name, well, today we'll just say Mrs. Benson, I don't know. And then the class name. So you're going to do English and then whatever level English you're in. So if you're in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever English you're in, you're going to put that in. I'm going to put English 13 because I feel like I'm in grade 13 forever. And then the date. Here's the funky date delivery. Today is January 6th. It might not be January 6th when you're watching this, but it's January 6th today for me. So I'm going to put a 6, then I'm going to type January, and then I'm going to put 2021. Notice that I didn't put any commas in there. You're going to be tempted if you've really listened to the rules in the past, but MLA says no way. And then I'm going to go to the next line, but now I'm going to center. So you want to center a line so that my title's in the center. And then I'm going to put my wonderful title right there in the middle, still my 12-point Times New Roman font. I'm going to enter again, and then that's it. I don't do another enter. It's perfectly well positioned on this line, but I flush left again. And then there's that key on your keyboard that says tab. You want to tab in. That's your way of indenting for a new paragraph. So now you can start writing. Okay, notice how my essay begins just on that double spacing, 1 space, and then my essay typing is right there beneath the title. There's not a lot of extra spaces there. So if I were to continue writing a whole bunch, notice how the next page of my essay, the header automatically switches with the magic of the Google world to Benson 2. All right, folks, this was MLA format in a nutshell. If you have any questions, send them my way. I want you to know that MLA format is not a big, bad, scary thing, but it's something you can nail and nail right, and your English teachers and history teachers of the future will be so excited that they have these students that are so perfectly equipped at producing their writing in MLA format. And I tell you, it will just be a delight for them. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.